All right, let's dive into the causes of the American Revolution. This was a pivotal event in history that led to the birth of the United States, and it was fueled by a combination of political, economic, and social tensions between the American colonies and Britain. The story of the Revolution is filled with intrigue, conflict, and rebellion. So let's explore some of the key moments that led to this historic upheaval. First, we have to talk about the Stamp Act of 1765. This was a British law that imposed a direct tax on the American colonies, requiring them to pay for a stamp on various printed materials. The colonists were outraged, as they believed they were being unfairly taxed without any representation in the British Parliament. This led to widespread protests and boycotts of British goods, which marked the beginning of the colonists' fight for their rights. Another pivotal event was the Boston Tea Party in 1773. This act of defiance was a direct response to the Tea Act, which allowed the British East India Company to sell tea directly to the American colonies, bypassing colonial merchants and undercutting their prices. In protest, a group of colonists disguised as Mohawk Indians boarded 3 British ships and dumped over 340 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. The Boston Tea Party was not only a significant act of resistance, but it also served as a symbol of the colonists' growing frustration with British rule. In response to the Boston Tea Party, the British Parliament enacted a series of laws known as the Intolerable Acts in 1774. These laws were designed to punish the Massachusetts colony and reassert British control over the colonies. The Intolerable Acts included the closing of Boston Harbor, the revoking of Massachusetts' colonial charter, and the quartering of British soldiers in colonists' homes. These acts further inflamed tensions and set the stage for the outbreak of the Revolutionary War. In summary, the causes of the American Revolution were rooted in the political, economic, and social tensions between the American colonies and Britain. And key events, like the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, and the Intolerable Acts, fueled the colonists' desire for independence, and ultimately led to the outbreak of the Revolutionary War. Now, let's discuss some of the key figures in the American Revolution and their contributions to the struggle for independence. These individuals played crucial roles in shaping the course of the war and the eventual founding of the United States. First up is George Washington, who served as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the war. Washington's leadership, military strategy, and perseverance were instrumental in securing victory for the colonies. His ability to maintain the morale and discipline of his troops, even during the most challenging times, played a significant role in the eventual success of the American Revolution. Next, we have Benjamin Franklin, a renowned scientist, inventor, and statesman. Franklin was a chief figure in securing French support for the American cause. He served as a diplomat in France, where he skillfully negotiated treaties and alliances that proved critical to the colony's success in the war. Franklin's charm, wit, and intellect made him an invaluable asset in the struggle for independence. Thomas Jefferson, the principal author on the Declaration of Independence, was another vital figure in the American Revolution. Jefferson's eloquent prose and his ability to articulate the colonists' grievances against British rule helped rally support for the cause of independence. His words in the Declaration of Independence inspired countless others to join the fight for freedom and lay the foundation for the United States as a nation. Finally, we must mention King George III, the British monarch during the American Revolution. King George's harsh policies and unwillingness to compromise with the American colonies fueled the growing resentment that ultimately led to the war. His stubbornness and refusal to acknowledge the colonies' grievances played a significant role in pushing them towards rebellion and the pursuit of independence. In conclusion, the contributions of key figures like George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and King George III were crucial to the American Revolution. Their actions, decisions, and leadership helped shape the course of the war and ultimately led to the founding of the United States as an independent nation. Moving on, let's examine the major battles and turning points of the American Revolution and how they shaped the outcome of the war. These decisive moments were critical in determining the fate of the struggle for independence and ultimately led to the birth of the United States. First, we have the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775. These skirmishes marked the beginning of the Revolutionary War and were the first instances of armed conflict between British forces and colonial militias. The battles demonstrated the colonists' resolve to fight for their rights and set the stage for a long and grueling conflict. As the famous phrase goes, the shot heard round the world signaled the start of the war and the fight for American independence. Next is the Battle of Saratoga in October 1777. This pivotal battle was a significant turning point in the American Revolution, as it marked the first major victory for the Continental Army and boosted the morale of the colonists. The victory at Saratoga convinced France to formally enter the war as an ally of the United States, providing much-needed support in terms of military assistance, financial aid, and international recognition. Finally, we come to the Siege of Yorktown in October 1781. This decisive battle effectively marked the end of the Revolutionary War, as it resulted in the surrender of British General Charles Cornwallis and his army. The strategic victory at Yorktown was made possible by the combined efforts of the Continental Army, led by George Washington, and French forces under the command of General Rochambeau. The surrender at Yorktown effectively forced the British government to recognize the independence of the United States and begin negotiations to end the war. In conclusion, major battles and turning points, such as the battles of Lexington and Concord, the Battle of Saratoga, and the Siege of Yorktown, played crucial roles in shaping the outcome of the American Revolution. These decisive moments not only demonstrated the colonists' determination to fight for their rights, but also secured crucial international support, and ultimately led to the birth of the United States as an independent nation. Now let's delve into the drafting and signing of the Declaration of Independence, a pivotal moment in the American Revolution. This iconic document, written primarily by Thomas Jefferson, laid out the key principles and grievances that fueled the struggle for independence and helped shape the United States as a nation. The Declaration of Independence was heavily influenced by the political philosophies of thinkers like John Locke, whose ideas about natural rights and the social contract were central to the document's message. Locke believed that all individuals had the right to life, liberty, and property, and that governments were formed to protect these rights. If a government failed in its duties or became tyrannical, Locke argued that the people had the right to overthrow it and establish a new one. Drawing on these ideas, Jefferson and other founding fathers outlined a series of grievances against King George III and the British government in the Declaration of Independence. These grievances included the denial of representation in Parliament, the imposition of taxes without consent, and the violation of colonist rights through various acts and decrees. By listing these specific complaints, the Declaration provided a clear justification for the American Revolution and the colonies' decision to break away from British rule. The Declaration of Independence also expressed the key principles that would guide the new nation. Among these principles were the belief that all men are created equal, the idea that governments derive their powers from the consent of the governed, and the conviction that it is the right of the people to alter or abolish a government that becomes destructive of their rights and liberties. The signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, marked a momentous step in the American Revolution. It represented a formal declaration of the colony's intent to break free from British rule and establish a new nation based on the principles of liberty, equality, and self-government. In conclusion, the drafting and signing of the Declaration of Independence played a crucial role in the American Revolution. Influenced by political philosophers like John Locke, the document outlined key principles and grievances that justified the struggle for independence and helped shape the United States as a nation built upon the ideals of freedom and self-determination. Lastly, let's evaluate the impact of the American Revolution on the formation of the United States, including the establishment of the new government, the adoption of the Constitution, and the development of the unique American identity. The American Revolution had a profound and lasting impact on the formation of the United States as a nation. After achieving independence from Britain, the newly formed United States faced the challenge of creating a new system of government that would reflect the principles and ideals fought for during the war. This led to the drafting and ratification of the United States Constitution in 1787, which established a federal system of government with the separation of powers and a system of checks and balances. The Constitution provided a blueprint for a democratic government that would protect individual rights and liberties while promoting the common good. It created a strong central government with the power to tax, regulate commerce, and provide for the common defense, while also preserving the sovereignty of the individual states. The Constitution also enshrined the principles of representative government and the rule of law, which remain fundamental to American democracy today. In addition to the establishment of a new government, the American Revolution also contributed to the development of a unique American identity. The struggle for independence united the colonies and fostered a sense of shared purpose and destiny. This sense of unity was further strengthened by the adoption of common symbols, such as the American flag and the celebration of national holidays like Independence Day. The Revolution also gave rise to a distinct American political culture, characterized by a strong belief in individual rights, a commitment to democratic principles, and a healthy skepticism of centralized. This political culture has shaped the nation's development and continues to influence American politics and society today. In conclusion, the impact of the American Revolution on the formation of the United States was significant and far-reaching. The war led to the establishment of a new government, the adoption of the Constitution, and the development of a unique American identity. These developments have had a lasting influence on the nation's history, politics, and culture, making the American Revolution a defining moment in the creation of the United States as we know it today.